Someone collapses on a crowded sidewalk. 20 people walk past. Not one stops. You've seen this happen. Maybe you've even been one of the 20. But the real answer for why is far stranger than indifference. You like to think you'd help. Most people do. But your brain runs a calculation before you even know you're thinking. It happens in less than a second. And the more people standing around you, the less likely you are to act. This is called the bystander effect. It sounds like a flaw. It isn't. It's a leftover survival circuit built for a world that no longer exists. In 1964, a woman named Kitty Genovese was murdered outside her apartment building in New York. Newspapers reported that dozens of neighbors heard her screams and did nothing. The story horrified the country. It also caught the attention of two psychologists, John Darley and Bib Latané. They wanted to know why. So they ran an experiment. Participants sat alone in a room, believing they were part of a group discussion over an intercom. At some point, one voice on the intercom began to choke, gasp, and call for help. When participants believed they were the only one who could hear it, 85% rushed to help within minutes. But when participants believed 4 other people could also hear the same distress, that number dropped to 31%. Same emergency, same sounds of suffering, different number of witnesses. The outcome changed completely. Darley and Latané called this diffusion of responsibility. When you're alone with someone in danger, the weight of the moment lands entirely on you. There's no one else to share it with, no one else to defer to. You act because you have to. But at a crowd, and something shifts. Your brain quietly asks a question you're not even aware of. Is someone else already handling this? If everyone around you looks calm, your nervous system reads that calm as a signal. Maybe it's not actually an emergency. Maybe you're misreading the situation. This is called social proof, and it's one of the oldest decision-making shortcuts your brain has. Think about why that shortcut exists. For most of human history, you lived in small groups. 40 people, maybe 60. Everyone knew everyone. If something dangerous was happening, you could read it instantly on the faces around you. Fear spread fast through a tight-knit band, and it spread accurately because everyone shared the same stakes and the same information. Your brain evolved to trust the group's reaction more than its own. That trust kept you alive. A lone human, alert to every possible threat without checking it against others, would burn enormous energy reacting to false alarms. The clever shortcut was to let the group's collective response do some of the threat detection for you. That worked beautifully for 60 people who knew each other. It breaks down completely in a crowd of strangers. A modern street is nothing like the band you evolved in. The 40 faces around you now are not kin. They are not people whose fear you can read with any accuracy. And yet your brain still runs the same ancient program. It still looks outward for cues before looking inward for instinct. It still asks the group, is this real? Should I be scared? Here's the strange part. The crowd isn't actually less afraid than you. Every individual standing there is running the exact same calculation, watching everyone else for a signal, and finding only calm, blank faces staring back. Each person assumes someone else has already assessed the danger and found it manageable. No one has. Everyone is just watching everyone else not react. Psychologists call this pluralistic ignorance. A room full of people privately worried. Each one convinced they're the only one worried. Each one staying still because the group looks unbothered. There's a third piece to this puzzle, and it has nothing to do with cruelty. It has to do with certainty. When you're alone and someone collapses, the action required is obvious. You call for help. You check on them. There's no ambiguity to hide behind. But surrounded by others, doubt creeps in. What if I misread this? What if I make a scene over nothing? What if someone else, someone more qualified, was already about to step in? This is what researcher Bib Latané later called evaluation apprehension, the fear of being judged for overreacting in front of strangers. It's a deeply social fear, and it makes sense. For most of your evolutionary history, social standing within your group was almost as important to survival as physical safety. Being mocked, excluded, or seen as foolish carried real consequences. So your brain weighs the risk of public embarrassment against the risk to a stranger you don't know, and in that split second, embarrassment often wins, even though you'd never admit that to yourself. None of this means people are selfish. The same studies that revealed the bystander effect also revealed something hopeful. When a single person breaks the spell, when one bystander steps forward and acts decisively, Others follow almost immediately. The freeze isn't really about apathy. It's about waiting for permission that no one else is giving, either. Psychologist Francis Norris and others studying disaster response found this pattern again and again. In emergencies, the moment one person commits to action, compliance from the rest of the group rises sharply. A single voice saying, "You, call an ambulance, you, help me move them," can dissolve the entire freeze within seconds, because it removes the ambiguity your brain was struggling with. It tells everyone exactly what's expected, the same clarity a small ancient band would have had automatically. So the bystander effect isn't proof that you're indifferent to suffering. It's proof that you're still wired for a village, dropped into a world of strangers your ancestors never had to navigate. Your instincts for reading danger were built on intimacy, not anonymity. Think about how often this plays out in smaller, quieter ways today. A coworker struggling visibly with something heavier than work, and everyone waits for someone else to ask if they're okay. A group chat where something is clearly wrong, and everyone reads it, and no one responds first. A meeting where a bad decision is being made, and everyone senses it, and no one wants to be the one who says so. You are running the same ancient circuitry, just without the collapsed body on the sidewalk to make the stakes obvious. The fix researchers point to is almost embarrassingly simple. Be specific. If you ever need help in a crowd, don't shout for someone. Point at one person. Name a feature, a jacket color, eye contact, anything that breaks the anonymity. The moment a single person is singled out, diffusion of responsibility disappears because the calculation your brain runs no longer has anywhere to hide. And if you're ever standing in that crowd, watching, uncertain whether to act, know that everyone around you is asking the same question, waiting for the same signal, hoping someone else moves first. You don't have to wait for permission. You can be the signal. Someone collapses on a crowded sidewalk. This time, you're the first one who moves. And the real answer for what happens next isn't indifference at all. It's you.